Tonight, explosive courtroom revelations. When 50 Cent brings hidden audio to light, Diddy collapses in court and a decades-long rivalry ignites anew. Stay tuned. This is one of the most shocking moments in hip-hop history. It begins with silence, then the echo of a federal courtroom crackling with tension. Cameras outside caught the flashing of lights. Reporters crammed into barricades. And somewhere inside that courthouse, two titans of hip-hop locked eyes across the abyss of legal warfare. Sean Diddy Combs was on trial, facing trafficking and conspiracy charges that stretched back years. 50 Cent, never far from a camera or controversy, wasn't just watching. He was waiting. And when the courtroom heard what he brought, the floor shook. But before that explosion, let's rewind the clock. The feud between 50 Cent and Diddy is not a subplot, it's a storm that spanned nearly 2 decades. From subliminal disses to direct threats, the two have danced around each other in lyrics, interviews, and bitter silence. 50 Cent once publicly accused Diddy of knowing more about Biggie's death than he let on, a claim Diddy dismissed, but the damage stuck. Their beef simmered over mixtapes, industry deals, and most recently into something much darker. As Diddy's legal troubles mounted, 50 kept his distance. Until the trial, when Diddy's own assistant, Capricorn Clark, took the stand, she dropped a line that drew audible gasps. Diddy. She said, once told Chris Lighty in reference to 50, "I don't like all this back and forth, I like guns." That statement, allegedly made in the shadows of a private beef, found its way into a federal courtroom. And 50. He didn't let it slide. Within hours, 50 Cent had posted on Instagram a smirking photo of himself with the caption, "I don't feel safe." But he wasn't done. Days later, he doubled down, calling Diddy the gay John Gotti, a nickname that exploded across social media. Some called it cruel, others called it genius, but everyone agreed. It was classic 50. Troll mode fully activated. But the real twist came next. Rumors swirled that 50 Cent had handed over recordings Zadio said to contain secret party footage, stories never meant for sunlight, whispers from Diddy's inner circle. And when these were presented in court, according to one report, Diddy collapsed in his seat. The courtroom fell into chaos, with gasps echoing through the gallery. The prosecution didn't confirm what was in the audio, but insiders say it referenced private dealings, compromising situations, and alleged coercion within the parties Diddy was known for. It wasn't just testimony, it was a tactical bomb. Public reaction was swift and divided. Kesha tweeted her support for Cassie, writing, "Your strength is a beacon for every survivor." Aubrey O'Day called the verdict physically sickening on her Instagram story. Rosie O'Donnell labeled the entire court process a joke and pointed to the system's failure to protect victims. On the other side, rappers like Boosie celebrated the acquittals, saying it was a good day for black moguls. But through all of this, 50 Cent was unmoved. His trolling continued. He even teased a Netflix documentary, promising to reveal what the courtroom couldn't. Clips of him saying, "I don't do puffy parties." Weird energy resurfaced and trended again. And as the verdict landed guilty on 2 Monarch charges, acquitted on the rest, 50 made sure the spotlight never left him. In a world of image and power, Curtis Jackson knew how to spin both. Now, Diddy faces up to 20 years in prison. With sentencing scheduled for October 3, 2025, prosecutors remain tight-lipped. But with new civil lawsuits coming in, the story is far from over. Meanwhile, 50 Cent is moving full speed ahead, turning controversy into content, trauma into traction. His docuseries is reportedly in post-production, his public image riding high, and fans are eating it up. But behind all the trolling and taunts is a deeper cultural moment. The trial of Diddy isn't just about one man, it's about the legacy of hip-hop, the abuses of power in entertainment, and who gets to control the narrative when the lights go out. 50 Cent's exposure, justice or just vengeance wrapped in a viral bow. That's the question echoing now long after the courtroom doors closed. And if there's one thing we know about 50s, that he never walks away when there's still something left to say. The courtroom may have gone quiet, but the streets, the blogs, and the industry are anything but. October 3rd looms large Diddy's sentencing date. Prosecutors have hinted at harsher recommendations based on the alleged pattern of coercion, even if some charges didn't stick. Meanwhile, 50 Cent isn't waiting. He's already begun shopping exclusive rights to the unreleased audio he teased whispers of dark party culture, coded exchanges, and alleged recordings from over a decade ago. Netflix isn't confirming the title, but insiders say the series may be called Diddy Do It, with 50 as executive producer and narrator. And if the public's appetite for behind-the-scenes truth is anything like it was for Surviving R. Kelly or Framing Britney Spears, this could shift culture again. But here's where it gets murky. How much of this is exposure, and how much is exploitation? Is 50 Cent shining a light, or cashing in on someone else's darkness? The answer depends on who you ask. To some, he's a folk hero tearing down the powerful. To others, he's a showman with a grudge. And yet the momentum is undeniable. Millions of views. Headlines every hour. Rumors of even more names being named outside the courthouse. Fans and protesters gather. Some chant "Free Diddy." Others hold signs saying "Justice for Cassie" and "We believe survivors." And through it all, 50 remains calm, smiling, reposting memes, feeding the frenzy. His moves are calculated, never random. Every quote, every troll, every leaked clip feeds the algorithm, and he knows it. Diddy's lawyers, meanwhile, are preparing appeals. One insider says they may argue that the courtroom was poisoned by online narratives and celebrity interference. But how do you separate real justice from the performance of it when the cameras never stop rolling? This is the new battleground celebrity. Courtrooms turned into content farms. Influencers turned into gatekeepers of perception. And right now, 50 Cent is winning that battle. Whether or not he wins the war depends on what else he's still holding back. So, what happens next? October's sentencing will be a defining moment not just for Diddy, but for the culture that built him and 50. He's made it clear he's not finished. Only told part of the story, he hinted in a recent live stream. That's true. The second act might be even darker. This isn't just a rap beef anymore. This is about truth, power, survival, and the price of silence in a world addicted to exposure. As the credits begin to roll on one of hip-hop's most explosive trials, one question still hangs in the air. Was this justice or just showbiz? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more, because what comes next could change everything. As October draws closer. Insiders say Diddy's legal team is scrambling, not just to reduce prison time, but to contain the public fallout. Leaked memos suggest Combs' PR firm is considering a media reset campaign, including interviews, strategic charity donations, and influencer outreach. But the machine is rusting. Major sponsors have pulled out. CROC deals are quiet. Revolt TV has gone eerily still. And every move Diddy makes now is watched through a new lens scrutiny instead of stardom. Meanwhile, 50 Cent is accelerating. He's hinted at launching a docuseries companion podcast. One post showed a blurred-out folder labeled The List captioned, "Simply, you thought I was done?" It's classic Curtis Jackson, cryptic, strategic, and perfectly timed. And fans are leaning in, dissecting every frame, every word. It's not just entertainment anymore, it's investigative theater. It's flipping the traditional media script and making himself the narrator of Diddy's downfall. But even as 50 builds momentum, questions surface. How did he get those recordings? Who gave him access? Were they legally obtained? And if not, could they backfire? Legal experts warn that if 50 Cent played too close to the fire, he could be pulled into the case not as a witness, but as a liability. There's precedent. Celebrities becoming too involved, crossing from media into obstruction. But 50 isn't worried, at least not publicly. On his latest live stream, when asked if he feared being subpoenaed, he laughed. "I got lawyers too," he said, "and receipts." And that's the danger for everyone involved. If Curtis Jackson really does have more footage, more recordings, or names ready to drop, then this trial wasn't the end. It was just the trailer. And if Diddy was rattled by the first reveal, what happens if there's a second wave? One deeper, longer, more devastating. Outside the industry bubble, fans and watchdog groups are keeping score. Threads in Reddit forums are flooded with speculations. Some believe 50 Cent is using this to unearth deeper corruption in the music industry. Whispers about secret hotel, parties, NDAs signed under pressure, and an entire underground culture protected by money and influence are now resurfacing. And Diddy's name isn't the only one floating in those threads. Some say this could become hip-hop's version of the Weinstein scandal, an avalanche of silence finally breaking. But there's a key difference. This time, the reckoning is being narrated by another celebrity. That's what makes this so strange, so unsettling, and so compelling. 50 isn't just exposing Diddy, he's flipping the camera on the entire system. And the fact that he's not doing it from a courtroom or a journalist's desk, but from Instagram and a Netflix deal makes the whole thing feel surreal. Is this the future of justice or the evolution of revenge? And yet, in the shadows of all this drama, there's still a trail of real pain. Cassie's voice hasn't been heard directly in months. Her lawsuit was settled in 2023. But her name is on everyone's lips, again revived by courtroom evidence, echoed in hashtags, and held up as the symbol of something bigger. Survivors who once stayed quiet are now finding courage. Some are reaching out to lawyers. Others are sharing anonymous testimonies. And 50's firestorm intentional or not is making the walls shake. Industry insiders say more lawsuits are coming. And if they're right, Diddy's sentencing might just be the midpoint of a much longer story. Behind the scenes, publicists are panicking. Artists once affiliated with Combs are distancing themselves. A few have deleted photos. Some are tightening their inner circles. Everyone knows how fast loyalty evaporates when courtrooms turn into content. So here we are. A mogul awaits sentencing. A rival holds the mic. And a culture once addicted to power is now questioning who really had it all along. This wasn't just 50 Cent versus Diddy. This was the sound of old systems cracking. The sound of backrooms and velvet ropes being dragged into the light. The sound of someone finalizing what others were too scared to whisper. What comes next? That's up to all of us. To the fans, the labels, the art, the courts, and maybe to one man with a phone, a smirk, and a vault full of secrets still waiting to be heard. This has been 50 Cent Exposes Diddy's Darkest Secret Courtroom Shock. Subscribe, because trust me, the story is far from over. And even as the dust settles, new tremors begin to shake the ground beneath the industry. A source close to the prosecution has allegedly hinted that some of the names mentioned in sealed court exhibits could be public figures, entertainers, executives, even investors who attended the infamous parties now under scrutiny. The court may have protected their identities for now, but the whispers are getting louder. Some blogs have already begun to speculate. Screenshots are circulating. Old photos are being dissected. Who was at that mansion in Miami? Who left through the back door in 2017? Who signed NDAs after hotel incidents? It's a ticking time bomb, and 50 Cent's camp knows it. They've said nothing publicly, but every cryptic post, every new announcement about the docuseries feels like a countdown. The industry is bracing for a second wave, not from the courts, but from culture itself. Because once the public gets curious, they dig. And once they dig, they find things not even lawyers can bury. All eyes are now on Revolt TV, once Diddy's flagship platform for Black excellence. creativity, and unapologetic culture, it now feels like a ship slowly losing. Signal, behind the scenes, key staffers have either resigned or gone silent. Brand sponsors that once aligned proudly with the network have quietly pulled funding. Shows are being paused, interviews canceled, partnerships reassessed. And while no public statement has been issued, the signs are undeniable. Revolt is in trouble. Industry insiders are calling it the quiet unraveling. A media empire shrinking from the inside as its founder faces possible decades behind bars. 50 Cent, never one to let a fall go unnoticed, has already begun filling the space. He's been pitching a competing platform, realer, more viral. Some sources say he's in talks with both Amazon and Starz to create a digital hub for hip-hop exposes court documentaries and unfiltered artist interviews. The slogan rumored to be circulating, "We don't revolt, we reveal." Whether that's real or just 50 being 50. One thing is clear. Where Diddy is losing control, Curtis Jackson is seizing ground. The throne isn't vacant yet, but the power has already started shifting. And while the public reels from what's already been exposed, the silence from other high-profile names is speaking volumes. Jay-Z, once a close ally of Diddy's and fellow architect of modern hip-hop empire building, has made no public statement. No tweets, no posts, no denials, just strategic stillness. Sources close to ROC Nation suggest that legal teams have advised Hav to steer clear for now. Kanye West, who once oscillated between partnership and rivalry with both Diddy and 50, posted a cryptic line on his private forum, "Truth always floats, even in champagne." Fans immediately read between the lines. But the most noticeable shift is with artists like French Montana, who was previously a staple at Diddy's parties and events. Lately, nothing, no reposts, no throwbacks, no public defense. Even archived Instagram content has quietly vanished. In an industry built on cosigns and loyalty, this vanishing act says everything. The circle is tightening, and everyone's calculating. Speak up and risk exposure, or disappear and wait out the storm. But 50 Cent sees this silence not as strategy but guilt. He's dropped hints that more names are coming, more footage, more dots to connect. "Don't make me show y'all who was really there," he posted recently with a knowing emoji. Whether it's bluster or warning, one thing's certain: the rest of the industry is listening nervously. But as 50 Cent continues to dominate headlines, a new question is beginning to surface, one that even his most loyal fans are starting to whisper: is he playing too close to the fire? Legal experts are weighing in, and the message is mixed. On one hand, Curtis Jackson has not been charged with anything and remains, by all appearances, a private citizen reacting to public trial proceedings. But the materials he's hinted at and released audio, sealed footage. Private recordings have opened the door to potential legal trouble. If any of it was obtained illegally, or worse, if he received evidence that was protected by court seal or NDA, it could trigger subpoenas, civil suits, or even obstruction claims. So far, 50 has danced just on the legal line, never showing enough to get caught, but always saying just enough to stir chaos, and it's working. He's turned suggestion into spectacle. But the line is thin, and in the post-Me Too legal climate, prosecutors don't need a conviction to make an example out of a public figure. Still, 50's confidence hasn't wavered. "I've got lawyers too," he posted last week. "Don't worry about me." It's a message calculated .com and laced with threat. Because while Diddy fights for freedom, 50 is playing chess. And every move makes one thing clearer. He knows exactly how far he can go, till the game breaks. And beneath all the headlines, hashtags and live streams, something heavier is taking root: a cultural exhaustion. A weariness that no meme can mask. Fans are torn. For many, Diddy was a legend, a pioneer who turned street hustle into global brand power. Now, they scrolled past images of courtroom sketches and seized safes, wondering if they ever really knew the man behind the music. For survivors of abuse, this saga is triggering. Every new leak, every smirking 50-cent post, every courtroom update reopens wounds that were never truly healed. Some feel seen, others feel used. The internet never stops spinning, but real people are breaking under the weight of what's being revealed. Even within the hip-hop community, the silence is starting to feel like a scream. Rappers who once shouted "bad boy for life" now say nothing. Producers who once begged for a Diddy remix now hide behind vague statements about prayers for everyone. And new artists, those just coming up, are watching all of this unfold and asking, is this what it means to succeed? To rise only to fall under the weight of secrets? As the ripples of the scandal spread across studios, courtrooms, and timelines, a deeper shift is already underway, one that could rewrite the very structure of hip-hop's power. For decades, record labels, media moguls, and nightlife titans shaped the narrative. They decided who rose, who fell, and who disappeared. Diddy was one of those gatekeepers. But now, that gate is breaking, and the man swinging the hammer, 50 Cent, with every clip he drops, every post he writes, every docuseries hint, he teases he's doing what the press couldn't and the courts wouldn't. He's dismantling an empire. But here's the twist. In tearing it down, he might be building his own. More people now trust 50's Instagram posts than official press releases. His commentary is driving news cycles, not reacting to them. His memes are more impactful than some verdicts. He's become both watchdog and showrunner. The rebel has become the system. And some are starting to wonder, is this still about justice? Or is this about legacy? If Diddy was the symbol of old-school, power-polished, untouchable mythic, then 50 Cent may be the prototype of the next era, raw, viral, relentless. But when power changes hands, it doesn't always change shape. Will Curtis Jackson stay the truth teller? Or will he become the very machine he claims to destroy? October 3rd is circled in red across the entertainment world, the day Diddy will finally be sentenced. The courtroom will be packed, the cameras will swarm the steps. And in the shadows of that moment, one figure is already preparing his final move. 50 Cent isn't waiting for a judge's decision. He's writing his own ending. Sources close to his team say he's planning a full-scale media blitz on sentencing day. A teaser for his docuseries. It's a surprise podcast drop. Possibly even a full unreleased track with audio clips spliced from testimony. It's not just about commentary, it's control. While Diddy faces the reckoning of the law, 50 will dominate the court of public opinion. But what began as beef evolved into trolling and escalated into exposure. Now sits on the edge of something even bigger, a cultural pivot. A reckoning inside hip-hop, not just with one man's sins, but with the silence that enabled them. The final image is this. Diddy, once untouchable, waiting to hear his fate in a courtroom he used to walk past on his way to million-dollar meetings. And outside, 50 Cent, still smirking, still posting, still holding the mic, not just to clown his enemy, but to remind the world that power can flip overnight. The king is on trial. The rival is now the narrator. And history is being written, not by lawyers, not by PR teams, but by whoever owns the next viral post. This has been 50 Cent Exposes Diddy's Darkest Secret Courtroom Shock. The saga may end in court, but the impact is just beginning. Subscribe, because what comes next might shake the entire culture again.